what the Integrity Commission was intending to have against the Prime Minister's name, that of failing to properly account for items in his statutory declarations, failing to file properly, and questions about how the Prime Minister got his wealth. The Independent Commission of the Non-Independent Commission of Investigations at Indicom, the Integrity Commission, said that it had sent the file over to the FID to get better particulars on the Prime Minister's affairs, having done a report and found nothing adverse in those dealings. It sent the file to the FID, sent the file to Tax Administration Jamaica, saying it needed better particulars to make a final determination as to the state of play where the Prime Minister's statutory declarations is concerned. Dennis Chung's crime, they said, was that in an interview about the said declarations, in his role as a political, not a political analyst, as a public commentator, he said words that they felt was favorable to the Prime Minister. They said his opinion appeared favorable to the Prime Minister, and so he could not hold this office because he would exercise bias in his position as head of the FID. There is, when the spark was lit against your appointment by the opposition PNP, led by people who I'm sure you would know well in business, who you've done business with, who you've collaborated with in your role at the PSOG and in other roles. Did it strike at your core as a man that people you know could be protesting against you and leading an uprising against you in that way?
Well, I mean, George, I think people were just acting in their roles. It was a time of politics. I am one who never really holds a grudge like that, to be honest with you. The knowledge that people had looking on at the FID, maybe they were led into the perception that this is how the thing operates. But to be honest with you, I don't really give it much thought.
No, but at the time, so now it's fine. At the time, did you feel, did it hurt you, did it damage you in any way, what was happening as it unfolded?
Well, I mean, there were obviously people out there saying a lot of things, and it does impact from that way. But I know that a lot of the things were being said out of ignorance, right? And because of that, it does impact. But I don't. It's not something I sit down and worry about and think about, because for me the important thing was just, I know that I went through the process. I went through the process properly with the Office of the Services Commission. So for me, the thing was just go in there and get the job done that needed to be done. And I tell you, when I went there, the staff were very supportive.
Before we get to the staff, don't jump ahead. And expressed an interest.
I saw the opening and said, you know what? I think somebody had said something. So why don't go for that? Because
at
the time I was looking at what was published in terms of the qualification, the experience, and they said, well, you look like something you can take, and the investigation, financial investigation. What a lot of people don't understand, I think one of the most important job qualifications for that is really accounting.
Yes.
And in fact, when you go into the FID, a lot of the persons there, right, who are in investigations or intelligence, they're actually accountants.
Stick up it. So are you saying that the fact that you knew that accounting would be a strong suit necessary of the head of the FID, and when you heard people disparaging you as an accountant, rather than making you upset, it made you smile? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, those things, those things don't really affect me that much, right? Because at the end of the day, when I go home, I don't say it to anybody.
But it's also the question is this: they were saying that, oh, he's a little accountant, he can't do work, when you knew that accounting strength is what is going to be necessary.
Well, I have always thought that accounting strength is one of the most important strengths to have in an organization. Because as an accountant, you know every single thing. You see everything that's happening in an organization, right? So I mean, there are two strengths I've always thought is very important, or gives you an edge, is accounting and engineering.
Yes.
You know, and if you look across the spectrum of successful CEOs, a lot of them have an accounting background or engineering background, right? And then I know financial investigation, right? Because when you talk about internal audit, for example, or external audit, right? Or doing things internally from an accounting point of view, it really is investigation from a financial point of view. If you don't have that knowledge of accounting, then you're going to be at a deficit.
I've been sitting easy at home, Dennis Chung, and watching your television and seeing the leader of the opposition, the shadow cabinet, the former leader of the opposition, a former finance minister, with microphones and bullhorns in front of the finance ministry, saying that they do not want you to occupy that chair. That couldn't have been easy for you,
No,
regardless of what
it's not an easy feeling. Not just because it was said, but because the fact is that I know these people personally. You know, and from that point of view,
did Mark Golding let you down? Did he disappoint you with his stats at the time?
I don't have expectations of people. You know?
Did you have a good relationship with him before that?
Yeah, man. I know all of them very well. You know, I think I have a good relationship with all of them.
Did anyone ever call you privately and say, Dennis, I think you should leave. You should take the job. Were you ever?
Yeah, man.
So people, when you hear me say, may I pause the video just to say this. I wonder if you holler
at a certain organization, government organizations on a board, and we made a decision, and you know the public came out against the decision, and some of my board members were flinching. And I said, guys, listen, we sat down as professionals and we made a decision. You cannot know based on the fact that people are saying something, go back on that decision that you've made professionally. And it turned out that we were right.
I want you to look at me. I want you to look me straight in the eye. Was there any moment where you thought, this is not worth the trouble?
No. I'll tell you why. One of my biggest passions has always been Jamaica, right? And I thought that it was very necessary for me to go there and show that there was the system worked, because I went through the whole thing and the OSC and everything.
Yes.
So that was important.
Office of the Services Commission. Break time here on Deep Point is we're halfway through this conversation with Dennis Chung, Chief Technical Director of the...
all I have to say in the end of this video is Jamaican people.
Yeah, you should tell Annalise that she was.
Next time you look trouble.
People like you make you see Chung come out and talk because uno go talk about accountants. We can accountants. And them something that can you see you don't learn fit out. You only deal with the thief collection. You next time. You know learn to
When I say Caroline, you want a box for neighbor?
let me come down.
Who are lend me a box?
Me I come down. Because I don't want to sell out the man.
No, man, G-Keeper.
I can lend my box now. No, G-Keeper stay. I can lend my... But G-Keeper gone. It's alright.
Alright, I can send a request now. I can send a request. We have 3 square.